Do you understand English clearly when others speak? But the moment it is your turn, your mind freezes? You know the words, you know the meaning, yet nothing comes out smoothly. It feels like your brain suddenly stops working, and that moment is frustrating. Welcome back to the channel. If you have ever felt stuck while speaking English, this is something you need to understand. You are not bad at English, and you are not alone in this. What you are facing is a hidden mental block that most learners never identify. It is not about vocabulary or grammar. It is about how your brain is using the language. In this video, you will discover what is actually stopping you from speaking fluently. Once you understand this, your entire approach to learning English will start to change. The fake fluency illusion. You feel confident while listening to English because your brain recognizes words easily. It connects sounds with meaning without much effort. This creates an illusion that you are already fluent. But recognition is not the same as expression. When you listen, your brain only needs to understand. When you speak, your brain must build sentences in real time, and that requires a completely different skill. Most learners spend hours watching videos, listening to podcasts, and reading content. This builds strong passive knowledge. You start to feel comfortable with the language, and it gives you a sense of progress. This comfort can be misleading. It makes you believe that you are improving faster than you actually are. You understand more, you follow conversations better, and everything feels easier from the outside. However, speaking exposes the truth. The moment you try to express your own thoughts, your brain slows down. It searches for the right words, questions your grammar, and creates hesitation. This happens because passive learning trains recognition, not creation. Your brain becomes good at identifying patterns, but not at generating them. It is like watching someone play a sport every day but never stepping onto the field yourself. Another reason this illusion becomes stronger is repetition. You hear common phrases again and again, so they feel natural. But unless you actively use those phrases, they stay locked in your memory instead of becoming part of your speech. Your brain also prefers comfort. Listening is safe because there is no pressure to respond. Speaking, on the other hand, forces your brain to perform. That pressure reveals the gap between knowing and using. Many learners confuse familiarity with mastery. Just because something feels familiar does not mean you can use it confidently. Real fluency shows when you can form sentences without pausing or overthinking. There is also a hidden delay inside your mind. When you try to speak, your brain starts scanning for vocabulary, arranging structure, and checking correctness at the same time. This overload creates breaks in your speech. Because of this, you may start doubting yourself. You think your English is weak, even though you understand almost everything. In reality, your input is strong, but your output is undertrained. Think about it like recognizing a song. You can enjoy it, follow it, and even predict the next line. But if someone asks you to sing it alone, you may forget parts or lose rhythm. Speaking English works the same way. Understanding feels smooth because your brain is receiving information. Speaking feels difficult because your brain has to produce, organize, and deliver that information clearly. This is why you feel fluent in your mind but not in real conversations. Your brain is operating into different modes, and only one of them is being trained consistently. Fluency begins when your brain learns to respond without hesitation. It starts forming sentences automatically instead of searching for them. That shift only happens when you move from passive exposure to active usage. Until that shift happens, you will keep feeling like you know English, but cannot use it when it matters the most. The translation trap. One of the biggest hidden problems in speaking English is something you do without noticing. You think in your native language first, and then try to convert that thought into English. This process feels natural, but it silently slows you down. Your brain is not designed to translate every sentence in real time. When you think in Hindi and then convert it into English, you add an extra step. That step creates delay, confusion, and hesitation. At first, this might seem helpful. It feels like you are being careful and accurate. You believe you are forming better sentences by translating them properly before speaking. But in reality, this habit blocks your fluency. While you are busy converting thoughts, the conversation keeps moving forward. You start falling behind, and that creates pressure inside your mind. This pressure makes your brain panic. You begin to overthink simple sentences. Even basic words feel difficult to recall because your focus is divided between two languages at the same time. Another problem with translation is structure. Every language has its own way of forming sentences. When you directly translate, your sentences may sound unnatural or broken. Because of this, you start doubting yourself again. You feel like your English is wrong, even when your idea is clear. This doubt adds another layer of hesitation. Your brain also loses speed in this process. Instead of reacting instantly, it waits to complete the translation. That small delay is enough to break your confidence while speaking. Fluent speakers do not translate their thoughts. They build a direct connection between ideas and English words. Their brain reacts in English without going through another language. This is why their speech sounds smooth and natural. They are not faster because they know more grammar. They are faster because their brain skips the translation step completely. Think about it like typing on a keyboard. If you look at every key before pressing it, your speed drops. But when your fingers know where to go, typing becomes automatic. Speaking English works the same way. When your brain stops translating and starts reacting, your sentences begin to flow naturally. You do not search for every word. You simply express your thought. The longer you rely on translation, the longer you stay stuck. It creates a habit that feels safe but limits your growth. Breaking this habit is uncomfortable at first, but it is necessary for fluency. Once your brain learns to think directly in English, everything changes. Your speed improves, your confidence grows, and your speech becomes more natural without forced effort. Until that shift happens, you will keep feeling like you know what to say, but cannot say it at the right time. The fear loop. Even if you know the words and understand the language, there is something else that stops you from speaking. It is not your knowledge, it is your fear. This fear works quietly in the background and controls your actions. You start thinking about what others will say. You worry about making mistakes, being judged, or sounding less confident. These thoughts may seem small, but they create a strong mental barrier. The moment you try to speak, your brain shifts focus. Instead of expressing your idea, it starts protecting you. It tells you to stay silent to avoid embarrassment or criticism. This creates a loop inside your mind. You feel fear, so you hesitate. Because you hesitate, you make more mistakes. Those mistakes increase your fear, and the cycle continues. Over time, your brain learns this pattern. It begins to associate speaking English with discomfort. As a result, it avoids speaking situations whenever possible. You may notice this in real conversations. You have a sentence in your mind, but you choose not to say it. You wait, hoping for a perfect moment, but that moment rarely comes. This silence feels safe. You avoid mistakes, you avoid judgment, and you stay in control. But at the same time, you lose opportunities to improve your speaking. Confidence does not come before speaking. It comes after repeated attempts. Every time you avoid speaking, you delay your progress and strengthen the fear. Another hidden effect of this fear is overthinking. You start checking every word before saying it. You try to make your sentence perfect, and that slows you down even more. Your brain becomes overloaded. It tries to manage grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, and fear at the same time. This pressure makes even simple sentences feel difficult. Fluent speakers are not free from mistakes. They simply do not let mistakes stop them. They focus on communication, not perfection, and that keeps their speech flowing. Think about how children learn to speak. They make mistakes again and again, but they keep speaking. That is how their brain builds confidence and speed over time. Your brain needs the same kind of repetition. It needs proof that speaking is safe, even if it is not perfect. That proof only comes from taking action, not from waiting. When you start speaking despite the fear, the loop begins to break. Your brain slowly replaces fear with familiarity, and speaking becomes easier with each attempt. Until you step out of this loop, fear will keep controlling your voice. And you will keep feeling like you could speak, but something is holding you back. The perfection trap. One of the most silent reasons behind your hesitation is the need to speak perfectly. You want your sentences to be correct, your grammar to be accurate, and your pronunciation to sound clear. This intention feels right, but it creates a hidden problem. When you aim for perfection, you start filtering every sentence before you say it. Your brain checks grammar, searches for better words, and tries to avoid mistakes. This process slows down your speech. Instead of speaking naturally, you begin editing your thoughts. You pause more often, you restart sentences, and sometimes you decide not to speak at all. This breaks your flow and affects your confidence. Perfection creates pressure. You feel like every sentence must be right, and that pressure makes your brain cautious. When your brain becomes cautious, it stops taking risks, and speaking becomes difficult. In real conversations, there is no time to be perfect. People speak quickly, respond instantly, and move from one idea to another. If you keep aiming for perfect sentences, you will always feel behind. Another problem is that perfection keeps you stuck in preparation mode. You think you need more vocabulary, better grammar, or more practice before you speak. Because of this, you keep delaying action. This delay becomes a habit. You wait for the right moment, the right level, or the right confidence. But that moment never arrives, because fluency is built through speaking, not waiting. Mistakes are not a sign of failure. They are part of the learning process. Every mistake helps your brain adjust, improve, and become faster over time. Fluent speakers do not speak perfectly. They speak freely. They focus on expressing their ideas clearly, even if their sentences are not flawless. That freedom makes their speech natural. When you remove the need to be perfect, your brain relaxes. It stops over-analyzing and starts responding more quickly. This shift makes your speech smoother and more confident. Think about conversations in your native language. You do not think about every word before speaking. You speak naturally, even if your sentences are not perfect. English works the same way. Fluency comes when your focus shifts from correctness to communication. The goal is to express your idea, not to impress with perfect language. The more you allow yourself to speak imperfectly, the faster you improve. Your brain learns through usage, not through silence. Every sentence you speak builds your fluency. Once you break the perfection trap, speaking becomes lighter and more natural. You stop holding yourself back and start participating more actively in conversations. Until you let go of perfection, you will keep feeling ready in your mind but silent in reality. Now you can see the real problem clearly. It is not your vocabulary, it is not your grammar, and it is not your intelligence. It is the way your brain has been trained to use English. You have been building knowledge, but not building the habit of speaking. You have been focusing on understanding, while your ability to express has been left behind. That is why you feel stuck even after learning so much. The good news is that this can change. The moment you shift from passive learning to active speaking, everything starts improving. Your brain begins to adapt, your speed increases, and your confidence grows naturally. You do not need perfect sentences to become fluent. You need consistent action. Every time you speak, even if it is not perfect, you are training your brain to respond faster and more naturally. Fluency is not something you wait for. It is something you build step by step through real usage. The more you speak, the more natural it becomes. So, stop holding yourself back. Start using the English you already know. That is the point where real fluency begins. If you found this helpful, a like really supports the content and keeps it growing. You can share this with someone who understands English but still struggles to sound natural. Try writing one sentence in English in the comments without translating, just your thoughts. If you want to keep improving step by step, turn on the bell icon so you do not miss what comes next. Subscribe to the channel and support us if you like the content of this channel. Thank you for watching and putting in the effort to improve. It means a lot that you chose to learn with this video.